Kingdom of Heaven. Many people think that the kingdom of heaven is a place. There is a pearly gate and God has guards at the entrance. You must pass the test to get in. Yet, what if heaven is a state of mind? What if heaven has always been there, but there has been dust covering the inner bed? Maybe man's problems have always been looking outside of ourselves. Maybe, just maybe, we have forgotten our true nature. The hells that man creates are real. Look at wars all around the world. Innocent people get killed and maimed. Millions of people are fleeing from their homelands. That must be hell. We as a world must help them. Forget our immigration policies. Do you think Christ will accept that? The U.S. seems to have a we don't care policy. Immigration was a thing of the past. Immigration must be stopped. Recently, I saw where ICE sent a man who has been here for 30 years back to his country. He leaves behind his wife and kids. The U.S. is creating a living hell for thousands of people. What happened to the love and compassion of America? Have we totally lost our ways? How can we still have a president who mocks the world? We give him the keys to our nuclear codes. To be honest, America must learn to discover the heaven within. We are all so much off the mark. Anger is the norm. Anger is the point on the thermometer of life where you know our society is sick. America has a serious disease. A disease is a point where there's no peace. Everything is in a chaotic state, just like cancer. It seems to describe our political system today. Everything is in chaos. Nobody knows what's going on. You can be fired just like the Apprentice show on TV. Just ask Rex Tillerson and the rest. Chaos is a manifestation of our minds. If our minds are chaotic, the world around us will be chaotic. It is as simple as that. Remember, you can choose between heaven and hell. The choice is yours.
Did you know there is a field of life that ripples everywhere? It ripples faster than you can read these words. It is felt instantaneously all across the universe. How about that? We haven't even developed anything near the speed of light, yet the field transfers information instantly. Do you see how your actions affect the universe? Did you ever ponder that over? Your anger ripples across the universe. Is it worth it? Now is the time to change. Be kind. Your kindness will ripple everywhere. Your light will shine everywhere. You can be a true beacon. You have no idea how grand you are. The universe is rooting you on. You have a grand part in this play. You are the main actor. Ponder these words.
We see only 1% of the light spectrum. I find it quite fascinating that we see only 1% of the light spectrum. Yet, we have the hardware and software to discover God. One of the greatest mystics once said the following: "If thy eye be single, thy whole body shall be full with life." The world of science and mystics are merging together. Modern-day scientists are talking about the human body is wired to the quantum field. We can only see the 1% of the light spectrum with our physical eyes. Yet inside of us lies the pineal gland, which is the doorway to the quantum field. Mankind thinks what he sees is reality, yet we are almost missing the entire picture. The great mystics call this Maya. Maya is a great illusion. Ponder this over. We can't even imagine what we are missing.
The jeweler and the thief. The dragons knew about bullying. Remember, they would bully throughout their lives. Remember, that was one reason they left. There was this innocent girl named Pima. Pima's name means lotus. She was like a lotus, very pure. Because she was pure and innocent, the boys loved to taunt her and bully her. She constantly had to endure this. The dragons were quite aware of her pain. Anyway, to make a long story short, they came up with a master plan. The next time the boys tried to bully her, the dragons would come to her rescue and roar. I mean roar. It could be heard all over the valley. The bullies would run away in fear. Pima was so kind, she would console the bullies and they became best of friends. One by one, the bullies were transformed. They became students with the dragons and were transformed. This is Pima. What an incredible adventure we had. I was there to witness the transformation of going from darkness to light. Before the dragons came, we were living in darkness. Continuous fighting was occurring in China and Tibet. Entire villages were ransacked. It was not a happy time for all. I was one of the youngsters who stumbled upon the Dragon's Cave many moons ago. They were extremely reluctant to teach us. You see, they left Great Britain because of the craziness not only in the dragon's world, but they had dragon slayers as a profession in Great Britain. The dragons had great hearts. They were quite advanced when we met them. They had been meditating for about 5,000 years. In the beginning, we couldn't even tell our parents what the dragons were training us. Over time, the word got out, and fortunately, all went well. The entire village embraced and practiced this sacred knowledge. When we heard that all of Tibet was going to war, the dragons decided to open up their world to all. This city was called Shambhala. Their stories that you heard all stem from Shambhala. They were the cornerstones of our practices. The beginning stage of this great quest is to know where to even start looking that this jewel exists. Before the dragons arrived, our happiness was focused externally. Mind you, this is the stage where your world is today. So things never change. We don't have much. We were poor. Our parents were simple farmers. yet we thought that happiness existed outside of us. The jeweler and the thief was told over and over again. It had to go into our subconscious. If we heard this story only once, we would never been able where we are today. The dragons know how to program the subconscious. They were experts at this. Mind you, they took the same baby steps we did. They had to stumble and fall and learn. Yes, it took time, but they developed a system which is the foundation for today. The great yogis, Jains, and Buddhists all were influenced by the dragons. You will read more about this in the coming chapters. Once we grasp the concept that the jewel lies within, we learn how to meditate. This leads us to our next story. Stop the noise in your head. It's funny now. It wasn't funny then. Before we first learned how to meditate, we didn't know how powerful the mind was. The mind had us exactly where it wanted. The mind was in control. We were leaves blowing in the wind and didn't know it. We reacted to each and every situation. Sounds like your world today. Well, when we closed our eyes, we asked the dragons how to stop the noise in my head. It was like listening to rap music at high volume. The dragons went through the same experience that we did. They learned that in each and every moment, concentrate your mind on the power behind your breath. You're teaching the genie to go up and down, up and down. In the beginning, you meditate on the universe. At some point in time, the universe starts to meditate on you. The dragons were expert coaches. Their teaching was simple and pure. There was so much play and laughter. Even when you made a huge mistake, they would give you a big hug. They taught that in this journey, one takes 2 steps forward and 1 step backward. This is how the universe learns and grows. Ancient civilizations throughout the universe learned this way. Nobody got a free ride. As soon as we got just a small glimpse of love behind our breath, we were ready for the next step. Planting the seeds. The dragons told us that this journey of knowing thyself is in each and every moment. This isn't a path where you put $5 in the offering and then go on your merry old way. We learn how to toil the soil within. We learn how to remove the boulders and rocks. Weeds had to be pulled. The crop needed to be watered. Remember, we were simple farmers, yet they made perfect sense. We had an inner garden, so we must pay attention to it. No wonder in your civilization, the majority of people isn't even aware there is a garden. Imagine the weeds that exist. No wonder your world is in chaos. Master Chemist. Let's continue from our previous chapter. This is Prima once again. So we are learning how to be master farmers. The next step, the dragons told us that we were master chemists. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? The body and the mind are so tangled with each other. It's like a huge bundle of strings. Imagine for each thought you have, a series of chemical reactions gets released into your bloodstream. The Buddhists had the following saying: holding onto anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You see, each time we get angry, a series of harmful chemicals gets released into the body. Some people are so out of sync that the faucet never gets turned off. Even if they want to, it takes time, patience, and effort. Our subconscious is driving this show. If someone says something to you that you don't like, you will automatically get angry. The anger is wired directly into your body. By the time we reach the age of 35, our body is hardwired directly from the subconscious. It is driving the show. We are on autopilot. Habits, good and bad, are hardwired directly into our bodies. We are like leaves blowing in the wind. Each morning we get up, we do the same thing over and over. It's like in the old days listening to a record and the album is scratched. It will play the same thing over and over and over. This is our life. If we want to change, we have to start to rewire our circuits consciously. In order for that to happen, one must be able to break away from a beta state to change. You see, a beta state of mind can't reach the subconscious. So if you say an affirmation to change, it can't reach the subconscious to rewire the circuits. This is where meditation comes in. A person who meditates learns over time how to connect to the quantum field. The stronger the connection you have to this field, the more capability you will have to rewire the human body. The scenarios are endless. It's up to your imagination. You have free will. The quantum field doesn't judge us. Yet changing and rewiring your circuits requires you to be in sync with love, kindness, patience, tolerance, and compassion. This is why it's so important to meditate. This is why it's so important to be conscious and aware in each and every moment. The wise ones in the past would monitor their thoughts and actions. If they were in a situation where the person would say something to make them angry, they would simply smile. Why put gasoline on the fire? They understood that by getting angry, they are drinking their own poison. Yet, this is difficult to do. That's why it takes constant training. We have people in office who would Twitter whatever comes to their mind. They don't know how to stop, look, and listen. To be honest, this was never taught in schools. Look at our nation today. Both sides are pissed off and can't work with one another. This is an emotionally immature society. In order for the world to change for the better, one must take responsibility and learn new ideas to discover their true nature. We must all ponder over the state of mind we are in. As a society, we must discover ways to become mature adults. We must help those in need. We can do this. Millions of people are waking up from their slumber. The dragons taught us that we are responsible for the chemicals, positive or negative. We are master chemists. Only you can change your inner world.
The frog in the well. Well, after a couple of years meditating, one can begin to get complacent in their practice. One can think, I've discovered all. My whale is largest in the world. The dragons were expert psychologists. They could see right through you. They had this uncanny sense of sensing pride and ego. You couldn't hide it even if you wanted. Their mission was to find the tune, the guitar of life. There will never be a point where you can clap your hands and say, I've learned it all. Even if you have meditated for over 1 billion years, you'll just take a new baby step on this journey in life. There is no final destination. Each moment is a precious step to be taken. One must be humble on this journey. Arrogance will never take you anywhere. We were young and innocent at heart. Even still, we had subtle lessons to learn. Every person who tries to know thyself at times will think my well is grander than any other well. This is human nature. This isn't a true state. This comes from the ego. The ego wants to feel important. The dragons would gently remind us of our ways. They wouldn't point fingers at us and say, you should have learned that by now. They're always gentle and kind. Remember, they were fire dragons. They could have burned us like toast. Thousands of years ago, they conquered the last bit of ego. It was rubbing off on us. Remember those bullies that harassed me? Well, over time, they became my best friend. They learned how to cultivate their inner gardens and became shining examples for all. Years later, they became the city's elders for Shambhala. Stories are still being told about them today. They helped millions on the way. Because they were once in the same shoes as the people moving from the wars, they could help them on their journey. These immigrants were assimilated quite easily. Each one was given a house and a job. Maybe like given a mansion today. The spiritual practice was a part of their life. There's no difference between their daily life and practice. It was all one. Mind you, we had no armed forces or police. We didn't need that. The concept of the frog in the well carried into everyday thinking and practice. David the dragon had a series of meetings to talk about a new way to build houses. They had a series of meetings, and in 6 months they built a prototype. When it was revealed, the dragons and man were speechless. This house was built using hemp. Hemp is grown nationwide in Tibet. It is super strong. As a matter of fact, is one of nature's strongest materials. The dragons knew how to communicate with Mother Earth. She gave guidance on how to provide natural electricity to each house. This was free. Each house will be off the grid at the same time. Capture electricity directly from the earth. Each house would have a bathroom with running water. There was a shower and a bath also. There was a toilet. This toilet was highly advanced. It would take the urine and convert it to potassium for fertilizers. The waste would then be transformed to fertilizers also. All the wastewater would flow through underground tunnels to a place would go through a series of converting the runoff water back to a pure state. Mother Earth told them the necessary steps to take place. One by one, the entire village worked on building the houses. The entire village helped in the process. It took 5 long years, but they accomplished it. All of them gained such wisdom. They figured how to farm inside using techniques that Mother Earth told them to use. What better advice to get directions from? At first, they only had seeds from Tibet and China. In the vast future, they would have seeds from all around the world. They had the perfect climate to grow anything. They wouldn't have ever dreamed to use pesticides like we have today. You see, money wasn't the driving product, so you could give man an inferior product. That was never in their consciousness. Day by day, they made improvements in all areas of life. They planned for the future. They saw that someday millions of people would live here. They planned accordingly. They made sure that the future generations would be safe and secure. Each dragon and man were responsible for thinking outside of the box. Daily in their meditation, they would get insight and guidance. You see, inside of us lies the universe. You are the universe. You just don't know it. It became a common experience for everyone. Signposts are all around. Hi, this is Prima again. As we started walking on this incredible journey, our lives started to change dramatically. We started to see signposts all around us. Imagine they were already there, yet we didn't have the eyes to see. It's like the darkness can't see the precious light. Darkness is the absence of light. As kids, we didn't know about the inner light inside of us. War and misery were a part of our life. The more we cultivated our inner gardens, the easier it was to see them. It was something we couldn't see one day, and the next moment it would appear. For example, if someone would try to make me angry, the dragons would appear inside and tickle you. It was just a fraction of a second. It would appear and disappear. Yet we would giggle inside. This fraction of a second was long enough to distract us from getting angry and drinking our own poison. We have free will, and we utilize our free will and ask the dragons for help and guidance. They would appear and help us. On this journey, one begins to see the magnitude of the universe. I can look at the stars and feel I'm totally at home. I feel like the universe is my best friend. Before, I would never pay attention to what was around me. Consequently, we become much kinder and wiser in the affairs of life. We are understanding that we are a piece of the puzzle in life. We started as ignorant beings, yet we transformed into every area of life. We were light years ahead of you, yet you have the same capability we had back then. You must learn to see the signposts in life. You are human beings, yet act like human doers. Does this global shutdown Mother Nature? During this global shutdown, Mother Nature sent you to your rooms to think things over. Yet the majority of people are bored. Remember, signposts can only be seen is when one is in a state of being, not doing. The whole universe is alive, and yet you are texting to Mary on the freeway of life. The universe is dancing right between your eyes, and you are bored stiff. Every nook and cranny must change in your life. What you think is normal is not. Your true state is infinite joy, kindness, wisdom, and compassion. For many people, they will roll their eyes and say, "There goes Prima, talking about nonsense." Did you know that common sense is uncommon? The dragons came from a place of darkness, hundreds of times darker known to man. They left Great Britain and traveled to Tibet. They slowly transformed themselves and reached a state of awareness where they taught us. We had the same mindset as you did. Granted, most kids our age didn't have the tons of weeds our parents did. But our parents walked on this precious journey and transformed. Life in Shambhala was a dream come true. We learned how to give and take in life. We learned how to compromise. Many of my best friends were refugees around the world. We had an open door policy. Many of them were former war factions that they learned to forgive each other. Everyone was treated special. Little Ricky the dragon loved it. He loved ethnic food. He could go all over the city and have different ethnic food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Life was a grand dance. We didn't need a military or police force. Yes, we had some problems. What was different that each party involved wanted a win-win situation for all involved. We could see through the eyes of others. This made all the difference in the world. We didn't feel separate. That's the problem in your world today. You have individual people, states, and countries. You try to hold on to your ideas for dear life being an individual. The precious earth is being filled with garbage. We learned a long time ago to stop throwing garbage in our living rooms. The planet is alive, conscious, yet in your world, you have no idea. Once you see the signpost of a living and breathing earth, life will change on your planet. One will have a deep respect for all life. Your present world can't see the forest from the trees. Money is the main fact. Your current administration is destroying the planet and laughing all the way to the bank. Remember, you need Mother Nature. She does not need you. You're here to be custodians of the earth, not the destroyer. Your current president mocks the Paris Accords and pulls out. I could go on and on. You must change. The signpost is all around. Discover the jewel within. Know thyself. This is the key to life. Fellow wizards advice. It's funny, both little Ricky and little Johnny were one of the dragons who flew from Great Britain to Tibet. Boy, did they have a grand adventure. They're well known throughout the universe. Their story is still alive today. In fact, they came back. They didn't come back as dragons in the West. Dragons are still frowned upon. So they came back as innocent children. What better way to disguise themselves? They knew they came from the stars. They couldn't prove it. How could you prove it anyhow? Your society doesn't believe that such a thing could occur. Yet they knew they came from the stars. Here's an excerpt from Little Ricky. I remember when I was a child, my uncle took my brother and me to Bob's Big Boy for a chocolate milkshake. The placemats were a spaceman with the words, take me to you later. My brother and I were so much joy placing these masks over our face. In one way, we knew that we came from the stars, and it was really funny to see these masks. We knew that these earth and bodies were stardust and could laugh at the joke. Yet, we really take this life too seriously. We think this world is physical, yet over 94 years ago, Einstein taught us differently. Yet we continue to live and believe so staunchly in this space-time continuum. My brother and I knew we were special, and yet we knew everyone was special, but didn't know about it. I remember looking at the stars when I was a child, and I knew that I came from beyond the universe. Here I was in a tiny human body, but something inside of me knew that my consciousness existed everywhere. I was the sun and the stars. I knew as human beings we could experience it, but at the time, our Western culture never expressed the idea. I remember when I was probably about 10 years old, my yearning for self-discovery began. I began to look consciously for ways to learn about myself. Whenever I heard the words India or meditation or yoga, it would send a chill down my back. I remember trying to get involved with church, but I had a hard time with the concept. I felt that life was glorious and incredible. Christianity was trying to make me feel guilty for what happened 2,000 years ago. At the time, I had a strong connection with Christ, which I still do. It is my own personal and private connection. I felt that religion should be a private experience. I had my own personal experience with the Creator. At times, I would watch the church services on TV, but it really didn't have any substance. I felt it was a lot of talk and took advantage of people. I knew at that age, if I kept my vision, that I would someday have that experience that I was looking for. I knew the doors were inside of my being, but I wasn't conscious of the doors being open. I knew I needed a direct personal experience of my Creator. My life as a child ran on two levels. I was a happy-go-lucky kid. I loved the world and played to my heart's content. On the other side, my life was very personal. I wished for the stars and my friends on the other side. I lived in this world, but I didn't altogether leave my inner world. I knew there was a purpose in life. Our culture at that time hardly expressed our desire to become one with our Creator. We were taught that when you die, you might have a chance to experience your Creator, but I could never buy that. I knew as a human being we could have a first-hand, moment-to-moment connection with our Lord. It was direct and personal. As a child, I never wavered from that. At times, I would have fleeting glimpses of that experience. I remember waking up and feeling such joy and ecstasy. I knew that in my dreams I went to such an incredible place, but I didn't have full conscious memory. I knew my friends were looking after me. I felt that in due time I would be shown the way to consciously 24 hours a day be in that joy. fellow wizards' advice. It's funny, both little Ricky and little Johnny were one of the dragons who flew from Great Britain to Tibet. Boy, did they have a grand adventure. They're well known throughout the universe. Their story is still alive today. In fact, they came back. They didn't come back as dragons in the West. Dragons are still frowned upon. So they came back as innocent children. What better way to disguise themselves? They knew they came from the stars. They couldn't prove it. How could you prove it anyhow? Your society doesn't believe in such a thing could occur. Yet they knew they came from the stars. Here's an excerpt from Little Ricky. I remember when I was a child, my uncle took my brother and me to Bob's Big Boy for a chocolate milkshake. The placemats were a spaceman with the words, "Take me to your later." My brother and I were so much enjoyed placing these masks over our face. In one way, we knew that we came from the stars, and it was really funny to see these masks. We knew that these earth bodies were stardust and could laugh at the joke. Yet, we really take this life too seriously. We think this world is physical, yet over 94 years ago, Einstein taught us differently. Yet we continue to live and believe so staunchly in this space-time continuum. My brother and I knew we were special, and yet we knew everyone was special, but didn't know about it. I remember looking at the stars when I was a child, and I knew that I came from beyond the universe. Here I was in a tiny human body, but something inside of me knew that my consciousness existed everywhere. I was the sun and the stars. I knew as human beings we could experience it, but at the time, our Western culture never expressed the idea. I remember when I was probably about 10 years old, my yearning for self-discovery began. I began to look consciously for ways to learn about myself. Whenever I heard the words India or meditation or yoga, it would send a chill down my back. I remember trying to get involved with church, but I had a hard time with the concepts. I felt that life was glorious and incredible. Christianity was trying to make me feel guilty for what happened 2,000 years ago. At the time, I had a strong connection with Christ, which I still do. It is my own personal and private connection. I felt that religion should be a private experience. I had my own personal experience with the Creator. At times, I would watch the church services on TV, but it really didn't have any substance. I felt it was a lot of talk and took advantage of people. I knew at that age, if I kept my vision, that I would someday have that experience that I was looking for. I knew the doors were inside of my being, but I wasn't conscious of the doors being open. I knew I needed a direct, personal experience of my Creator. My life as a child ran on two levels. I was a happy-go-lucky kid. I loved the world and played to my heart's content. On the other side, my life was very personal. I wished for the stars and my friends on the other side. I lived in this world, but I didn't altogether leave my inner world. I knew there was a purpose in life. Our culture at that time hardly expressed our desire to become one with our Creator. We were taught that when you die, you might have a chance to experience your Creator. I could never buy that. I knew as a human being we could have a first-hand, moment-to-moment connection with our Lord. It was direct and personal. As a child, I never wavered from that. At times, I would have fleeting glimpses of that experience. I remember waking up and feeling such joy and ecstasy. I knew that in my dreams, I went to such an incredible place. I didn't have full conscious memory. I knew my friends were looking after me. I felt that in due time, I would be shown the way to consciously 24 hours a day be in that joy. Wizard's Handbook. Imagine having the most precious book in the universe. It's a gift from God, yet you have never opened it. That would be sad, wouldn't it? The path of knowing thyself is consciously opening that book in each and every moment. At first, on your journey, when you take your first step, the book will appear, but it will be totally blank. Many people at this stage will just throw the book away and call the whole thing a hoax. They will then go on their merry old ways of doing things. The book represents your current state of mind. It will reflect back to you the current state of awareness you're in. If you are innocent and pure, it will help you continue on this journey. If you are sincere, it might even provide incredible guidance. The more awareness you have, the more the book makes sense. Chapters will appear out of nowhere. The most expert guidance system is contained in the book. Divine humor will occur when you make mistakes. You can almost hear a faint chuckle or giggle coming from the book. It doesn't judge you or criticize you. It knows the journey in life is 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. This book is your personal relationship with God. It will take you as far as you can go. You are never alone. This book will reflect that you put your awareness inside of you. You must learn to be a human being, not a human doer. A human doer is too busy doing things. The awareness of the inner book is not existent. This is a living video game of life. Mankind is stuck at a level where he thinks this is reality. It's like the movie The Matrix. We are asleep, yet we think we are awake. Now, back to Prima. During our time, most of the children were illiterate. We didn't know how to read or write. As we continued on this precious journey, we gathered great external and inner wisdom. We learned how to read and write. As a matter of fact, we became great experts on almost any subject matter. The Buddhists learned from us our great dialogue skills. One of our favorite famous pastimes was dialoguing one-on-one or one group with another group. The goal was to think outside of the box. It wasn't a competition per se. We didn't tear each other down. We didn't flame our opponents like you do today. The concept of hate and anger never entered the picture. In most living sacred books, they say the following: when 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, I am there in the midst of them. Matthew 18:20. We use this in our everyday life. We went from me to we. The book of life will reveal to you the secrets that will blow your mind. When a society transforms from me to we, a transformation occurs that is so incredible. In the me state, society is living in the darkness. In the we state, we are the universe, and we know it. Huge difference. Our society was so advanced that we were the universe and knew it. All wisdom and knowledge lied inside of us, and we knew how to access it. We didn't have crime or war. We didn't have corrupt politicians. This is the state of mind that was eradicated years ago. The spiritual path is the most practical path. The fight of two wolves within you. Welcome back. This is Bhima. You may think that this is just a quaint story, but this is the story of mankind and yourself. Which wolf are you feeding in each and every moment? Did you know that your thoughts create action? Your action over time will create habits. Your habits over time will morph into your personality. Imagine your subconscious is running the show. You are a mixture of feeding the good wolf and the bad wolf. Your subconscious automatically will feed either wolf depending upon the reaction you are having. The goal is to always feed the good wolf. The dragons developed many different versions of games for us to nurture the good wolf. They always were so kind and humbling, yet they had breaths of fire, but never used it. We learn how to reprogram our minds and bodies. The dragons talked about the river of energies and streams inside of us. When we feed our bad wolf, they would say, go to that stream that was affected and blocked. With kindness and love, remove any obstacle. Through kindness and love, any obstacle can be removed. They didn't get into the great interschemes of the problems or trauma. Your modern day psychologist makes it extremely difficult to transform. You use mind versus mind to overcome obstacles. The dragons used love and kindness to overcome any obstacle. We learned very quickly these important skills. The dragons always rooted us on into this journey. They always encouraged us and never belittled us. They were an example of practicing what they preached. Before long, this tale was told throughout the land. We incorporated this into our daily life. When a child was born, they were taught this basic principle. Over time, it got easier and easier for our society to transform. You see, when society only feeds the good wolf, it will transform in ways you can't even imagine. Great stories help to transform man, putting them into daily practice leads a man from darkness to light. Follow the recipe. Hi, I'm back. This is Bhima. Today, let's take our cake baking skills to the next level. We're going to bake a cake with kindness, love, and compassion. So in your inner mixture, shift kindness into the bowl. Make sure no negative emotions are there. That's why we are shifting kindness. Add love and patience. Mix and bowl. Add a sprinkle of tolerance. Mix. This is going to be a yummy cake. Add a tablespoon of happiness. Put in an oven, bake, let the cake cool, and then offer it to you and your friends. Remember, in each and every moment, your cake is in the oven. You are the only one who puts ingredients into a cake batter of life. Most humans just shove the cake daily into the oven without realizing the consequences. What kind of cake do we present to our family and friends? No wonder the world is so angry. It's like a chopped episode on cable TV where they have 20 minutes to make a full meal. Chaos is all around. Frustrations are in the air. When done, the judges judge your dish. It may look good, but it goes against any natural laws of the universe. It's like a rugu. A rugu is one who takes you from light into darkness. Unfortunately, the judge and chefs aren't even aware and conscious of this fact. Three blind men and an elephant. Boy, did we ever learn this lesson. This is Pima speaking again. The dragons had to go beyond their beliefs. Imagine, there were dragon slayers in Great Britain. We asked them to teach us. That took a leap of faith for them. Yet they wanted to see all in the same light as the universe. The universe is kind. Our lives got transformed. We had to learn how to think outside of the box. As Shambhala grew, the dragons and elders accepted refugees from many war-torn nations. They had a different way of seeing the world. At times, we didn't see eye to eye. The dragons taught us to walk in another person's shoes. They taught us non-violence in thought, action, and deed. They taught us to listen. In your society, most people don't listen to the other person. They're thinking about what they're going to say next. We went on a slow transformation from me to we. The dragons taught us that just by accepting us and teaching us that we are all equals. Your present-day society doesn't teach that. Some of your leaders want your country divided so they can remain in power. Each one of us has our own unique perspective on life. We learn how to embrace it. It would be boring if all the flowers in the world were roses. Well, maybe not for the roses, yet nature is diverse. It is always growing and morphing into something new. It is not stagnant. Your present-day leaders are stagnant. If someone doesn't rule with love, compassion, and tolerance, vote them out of office. So many of your people vote for politicians who have the same policies you have. Many have hidden agendas. They don't have your best interest in mind. Vote for those who are kind, and don't slander their opponents or mock them. A new way of governing is coming on the scene. Look at New Zealand for what's coming down the pike. This world can transform. It takes individuals and leaders to think outside of the box. We learned slowly over time that when each citizen was aware and conscious of the now, lives were transformed. We could think and see from another different perspective. The universe contains infinite knowledge and wisdom. Each citizen learned how to tap into that. This is how change occurs. When each member in society discovers the jewel within, incredible things will happen. You can learn how to fix any problem known to man. I mean, any problem. If there is a solution, if there is a problem, there is a solution. Little Ricky learned this story in India many moons ago. It's time that humanity embraces all. If you can't see the unity of life, you will continue fighting and bickering with one another. War will be in your thought and unfortunately in the actions of nations. Most people don't want war. War is obsolete. If a politician still believes in the concept of war, vote him out of office. It's as simple as that. The American people can choose who they want in office. Vote for kindness, love, and tolerance. The mirror. It's kind of funny and sad at the same time that life is a mirror. It will mirror back to you what you're thinking throughout the day. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "A person is what he or she thinks about all day long." That may seem simple, yet our words create our life. Whatever you think, the mirror of life will reflect back to you. Your present-day media is doing a disservice to you. 90% of the time, they show negative news. Negative news sells commercial slots on TV. You live in a capitalist society. Presenting good news does not sell or make money. Your commercials are shown to reprogram you without you even knowing it. Modern day psychology has learned how to reprogram the subconscious. Unfortunately, it's being used against you. Darkness is being programmed into you. You may roll your eyes and study the long-term effects of commercials and the reprogramming of your subconscious. The mystics have been saying for thousands of years that your mirror is dusty. That is, to put it mildly, to clean the mirror of life, one must stop being a human doer and be a human being. Here's a test to see where you're at. Close your eyes and focus on your breath. Feel the power of love behind your breath. If you are bored or see no point in continuing, you are a human doer. You're most likely never to sit down and relax. You will have a hard time sleeping. You will probably go to a doctor and ask for drugs to help you out. Mind you, the solution is always outside of you. One who learns how to be learns wisdom exists inside. All answers come from inside. One learns how to fine-tune the guitar of life. Little Ricky learned how to turn off the evening news. He still once a day gets glimpses and snapshots of current events. One can't be fanatical. It's wise to know the world around you and not to be consumed by it. This mirror has infinite levels. Most of humanity just uses an external mirror. They are oblivious that life reflects back all your thoughts, attitudes, and actions. One gets on the insane merry-go-round of mental activity and calls it normal. Such is society today. We have leaders who mock and put down anyone who doesn't have their point of view. They can lie over 18,000 times since taking office, and yet people will still vote for him. If the last president lied just 5 times, it would have scarred him for his entire time in office. The mirror needs to be clean, pure and simple. This is beyond politics. This is common sense, which is uncommon. Without a clean mirror, humanity will stumble and fall. Just look at past history. The Ugly Duckling. Hi, and welcome back. This is Prima. The dragons would tell us this story over and over again. Before the dragons came, life was miserable. Famines would come and go. A war would come and go. Diseases would come and go. Looting villages would come and go. You get the picture? Consequently, we didn't have a good picture or image of ourselves. We fought and bullied one another. Mind you, I was picked on almost every day before the dragons took us on. The dragons always told us we were smart. Similarly, today people are saying, you are the universe. You just don't know it. Well, we would roll our eyes just like you do today. Some things never change. Yet the dragons believed in us and helped us on this incredible journey. Shambhala got started by a group of misfit kids and turned into a grand civilization that is still talked about today. We went from darkness to light. We went from the ugly ducklings to swans. We went from me to we. Our technology was advanced that you haven't even come close. At the same time, it was in harmony with nature and the universe. We didn't place garbage in our living rooms as you do. Our governing was based on the same as the flock of geese in the sky. There were no leaders. Each one moved in synchronicity. Your political system is extremely primitive and perverse. Your leaders aren't leading. They just want to hold on to their power. The greatest power comes from being meek and humble, just like water. Lao Tzu was a student here for a while. The great book of the Tao Te Ching was written by him. You may have incredible technology, yet without discovering you are a swamp. It doesn't matter or amount too much. So what? You can text on the freeway of life, yet you could get killed by doing so. Without discovering the swan inside you, you will keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Your constant pursuit of external happiness may lead to your downfall. The decision is up to you. We evolved to such a point where we became the sun, moon, and stars walking in the human body. At some point, we went from me to we. We no longer needed these human bodies. As united awareness, we decided to move on to the next evolution video game of life. There are infinite levels to be played. Our vision is contained in the collective unconsciousness of humanity. Many dragons and humans from Shabbat are here today. The sun and the wind. This parable was told many times. Hi, this is little Ricky the dragon. The sun in the sky has nothing to prove. The sun simply smiles. The wind of the mind always wants to be right and to prove who is better in life. My way is the only way. My religion is better than yours. Your political party is evil. The wind of the mind is not tolerant of one another. War has been on this planet for thousands of years. Man has been bickering and fighting for ever so long. How dare he challenge my beliefs? Who do you think you are? On Facebook, one group will blame another group. The wind of the mind loves this stuff. It means it's in control of you. How can you focus on peace inside when you constantly battle one another? Kindness is the most powerful force in the universe. Tell that to our current administration and they will roll their eyes. Mocking and calling people's names is on their agenda. There will come a day when kindness will prevail. Most of the world believes in kindness, only a few don't. How they get in power is beyond me. Voters tend to lose their wisdom when it comes to voting. The current president has lied over 18,000 times since taking office. If I told just 5 lies, you would never believe in me again. Yet people believe him and stick up for him. The wind of the mind is playing the dance, and many people are swayed by it. In fact, they relish it. All wisdom and understanding go out the door. It's sad to see that people are swayed by untruths and believing so much that they are wearing blinders. People then will be so fanatical that even presented with the facts, they can't see the forest from the trees. During my day, the wind of the mind wasn't as developed as today. It was easier to transform. Today, it's like people are hypnotized. The current administration knows what it's doing by having one outlandish stunt after another. People can't keep up. People get lost and confused. It takes time to digest the meal. It takes time to digest the news. Currently, it's next to impossible to do this. I must give the current administration the credit. It knows how to stir the pot of controversy. Why am I saying all this? Darkness has been governing on this earth forever so long. It has become quite sophisticated. Even the majority of your politicians have been swayed over. They want to remain in the office, so they keep quiet. If the shoes were reversed, just one instant, the person would be excommunicated from office. Even religious leaders have gone astray. They back the current administration. Christ would have never have done that. Kindness is the answer. Imagine if the entire world was kind. Problems would be solved. Bickering and fighting would not exist. What do you want in your life? the sun or the dark winds of your mind. You choose. Both of them exist inside of you. In each and every moment, you choose. The sun and darkness. Hi, this is Prima again. The dragons helped transform our world. We went from darkness to light. The dragon showed how we could flip on the light switch and turn on the inner lights. The light was always there, but we never looked inside of us. You have the same situation today. Man has been fighting for thousands of years. Many people say that is man's nature. Their current world status has many bullies running the show. Many people approve of this. No matter what the current administration does, people will support it. Darkness has a way to make people irrational. It will take away discrimination, knowledge, and wisdom. It will cast a spell on you. Your true nature is kind, loving, tolerant, and full of compassion. Yet so many people think these strengths are weaknesses. That is sad, my friend. During Shambhala's day, we went through the same mind games you had. Nobody gets a free ride. We overcome our obstacles. It wasn't easy, but we did it. The same tools we had, you had. The path is still the same obstacles you had, we have, you have. You're missing a piece of the puzzle. You may hem and haw all you want, but that's true. You are majestic. You are the universe. You are eternal. You were never created. You will never die. Your body will. It's time to wake up from your slumber and see your true essence. Only you can solve this riddle. Initiation. Spiritual initiation. Spiritual initiation is a significant turning point in life that alters our perceptions and thinking. A spiritual initiation happens when we're ready to take the next evolutionary step. It's like a landmark or a tipping point on our life's journey. To be honest, in each moment we should be ready to take the next step in our spiritual evolution. We are going from darkness to light. We should not be complacent. One can wake up each day and be excited to be alive. One can love to meditate. Every moment is a treasure chest of guidance to be opened and shared. In this state, one can never be bored. Boredom is a state of mind. This is a mindset that you can overcome. You have been human doers. Now it's time to be a human being. One who is in a state of being performs action and is conscious and aware. He lives in the center of the hurricane. The world at large lives in the hurricane state winds of the mind. They are like leaves blowing in the wind. Humanity is changing. We can never return to the past. This global shutdown has changed the world, or it can't go back to the same old world. Each one of us has custom hardware and software installed. The time is now to use it. What are you waiting for? Closing. Stories and myths have been told for time immemorial. Hopefully these stories can help you with your precious journey. You are the universe. You just don't know it. It's time to wake up from your slumber. This world will transform. Just you wait and see. The sooner you wake up, the sooner peace will exist inside of you. Peace is a state of mind. You will never find permanent peace externally. It is an illusion. You can grasp it one moment, and the next moment it is gone. It's time for the world to be kind.